You survived something. Maybe it had a name. Abuse, neglect, a childhood that taught you to read a room before you. Could read a book? Maybe it didn't. Just years of living in a place where relaxing was dangerous, where you had to stay alert, small, ready dot, and now, objectively, you're safe. The house is quiet. The threat is gone. The people who hurt you are far away or simply no longer in charge of your life. So why can't you rest? Why does every good moment feel like the calm before something? Why do you scan the face of someone who loves you looking for the moment they turn? Why, when nothing is wrong, does your chest still feel like something is wrong? You've told yourself a story about this, that you're anxious by nature, that you haven't worked through the past enough, that you just need more time, more insight, more understanding. And then one day, it will finally let go. It won't. Not like that. Because what happened to you isn't a memory you failed to digest. Bessel van Duer, Kolk the psychiatrist, who spent 4 decades studying what trauma actually does to a human, being discovered something most people still don't understand about themselves. The part of you that is still living in the old emergency isn't your mind. It's your body. And your body does not process time the way your mind does. Thought your mind knows the war is over. Your nervous system doesn't. Asterisk, you've already done the intellectual work. You know where it started. You can name the people, the years, the patterns. You've read the books, had the conversations, sat across from therapists and explained your own life back to yourself in clean paragraphs. And none of it made you able to rest. You can understand your trauma perfectly and still flinch when someone raises their voice. You can map every dynamic of your childhood and still freeze when a partner walks into the room with the wrong expression. You can be brilliant about your past and still physically live inside of it. Van der Kolk watched this happen for years. Patients who had done the work, who could articulate everything, whose bodies had not received the memo. Trauma is not primarily a story. It is not a memory locked in the archive of the mind, waiting to be retrieved and examined. Trauma is a physiological imprint, a recalibration of the nervous system itself. When something overwhelming happens, the brain's alarm system, the amygdala, the brainstem, the autonomic circuits, learns. It learns what danger looks like, smells like, sounds like. And after enough firing, it stops asking whether the threat is still there. It just fires. This is why you can know. Intellectually minus, that you are safe and still, have a body that disagrees. The part of your brain that knows you're safe isn't the part running this show. It is being overruled moment by moment by a lower system that doesn't speak in words and doesn't care about your insight. Like trying to rewrite machine code by giving a speech about it. The code doesn't hear. You've been addressing the part of yourself that already knows. The part that doesn't know has been waiting patiently for you to stop explaining and start teaching it something it can actually feel. Asterisk survival mode isn't one thing. It has 3 doors, and you've been walking through all of them without knowing their names. The first is hypervigilance. Your nervous system never stopped scanning. Walking into a room, you read faces before you read words. You track tone, shifts, microexpressões. The temperature of a silence, you call this being perceptive. It isn't. It is a surveillance system that was installed when reading the room was survival, and it has never been decommissioned. The problem isn't that you notice too much. The problem is that relaxation itself now registers as danger, because to the old system, letting your guard down is how people got hurt. This is why pleasant moments make you uneasy. Why you sabotage the calm. Why the good thing feels unstable, even when nothing is wrong. Your nervous system has learned that unguarded is unsafe, and it will break the calm to restore what it considers the correct baseline. Alert. The second gate is the dysregulated body. You live in one of two states, sometimes both in the same day. Chronic activation, shallow breathing you never notice, shoulders that never fully drop, a jaw that stays clenched through sleep, a pulse that runs a little too fast for a life that is objectively at rest. Or its opposite. Numbness, fog, flat distance from your own life, as if you are watching it through glass. Van der Kolk identified this as the nervous system's other survival strategy. When activation becomes unbearable, the system shuts down. You stop feeling. You stop being there. You call it being tired. It isn't tired, it's protection. Both states have the same cost. You cannot inhabit your body, and a life that is not lived in the body is not in any meaningful sense lived. The third gate is the one that confuses you most. The present, contaminated by the past. Your nervous system does not file memories neatly by date. It stores patterns, a certain tone of voice, a certain expression, a certain power dynamic. And when any of those patterns appears in the present, the system reacts to the original event as if it were happening now. You think you are reacting to your partner? You are reacting to your father. You think you are angry at your boss? You are 12 again in that kitchen. The present disappears, replaced by something older wearing its clothes. This is not character. This is architecture. And no amount of thinking will remodel a house you cannot feel yourself standing in. Asterisk. Here is the most important sentence in this video. You have been trying to fix this by yourself. Treating your recovery as a private project, something to be figured out alone, in your own head, with your own willpower, through your own insight. And it has not worked. And you have assumed that means you are not trying hard enough. It isn't that. It's that you were never supposed to do this alone. The nervous system was never designed to regulate itself in isolation. Van der Kolk's research revealed something that rearranges how you should think about your own healing. The human nervous system is from birth a social organ. It learns to regulate by borrowing regulation from another nervous system that is already regulated. An infant does not calm itself. It calms because it is held by a calm adult whose breathing, heart rate, and presence physically transmit safety through proximity. If you grew up in an environment where the adults around you were themselves dysregulated, anxious, angry, absent, frightening, you did not receive the co-regulation your system was expecting. So, you learn to self-regulate prematurely, badly, with whatever tools a child could invent. Vigilance, performance, dissociation, control. You became independent because you had to, and you have been paying for that independence ever since. The single strongest predictor of recovery from trauma, according to Van der Kolk, was not technique. It was whether the person had, somewhere in their life, a safe relationship. Someone whose presence physically slowed them down. Not intellectually, physically. You feel it in their shoulders. The breath, in the way your body quiets when they walk into the room. And here is the cruel irony. Underneath all of this, you have probably been avoiding exactly this kind of person, because calm presence to a nervous system trained on chaos does not feel like safety. It feels like boredom. It feels like something is missing. You have been chasing instead the nervous systems that matched your own. The intense ones, the unpredictable ones, the ones that made your body feel familiar, which you mistook for alive. Familiar is not alive. Familiar is just the shape of the old emergency, wearing a new face. Asterisk, you are extraordinary. Survival was your mastery. Nobody ever named it that, because survival does not come with applause. But Here is the cruelest turn of the whole story. The very skills that kept you alive are now the architecture of your unlived life. The vida that saved you is the reason you cannot rest. The dissociation that protected you is the reason you cannot feel. The independence that carried you is the reason you cannot be held. To live now, you have to become unskilled at the thing you are most skilled at. You have to teach a nervous system that was forged in war that the war is over. And you have to do it knowing the nervous system will not believe you for a long time. Healing is a humiliation. It is quieter than you expected. It asks less of your intensity and more of your willingness to be small and new. Here is the question I want you to sit with, not answer. Sit with, what would it cost you to stop being impressive at surviving? What would you have to grieve? What part of your identity would have to die for a slower, softer, more ordinary self to finally have a chance? The body that kept the score is finally being taught a different song, and you have already begun learning it.